guys, it is Erin or Gimme Yarn 418, and thank God it's finished. It's Friday, and I'm here with another TGIF video. I will warn you, this isn't going to be as long. Well, I don't know if it's not going to be as long. Might not be as energetic as normal. Kristen and I have the flu or a norovirus or something. I don't know. But I wanted to come on here and still show what I had because I am trying to make an effort to record every Friday. I am also recording in a different program on my computer, so hopefully my dubbing won't be off like it usually is. Today I'm going to show you my finished objects, my works in progress, my crazy dogs, thank you Molly, and talk about what I have coming, what I'm going to be working on next. I'm not going to be doing introductions this week, but I will do them next week, I promise. The other thing is that tomorrow I will be hosting a Hangout. I don't know how long I personally will be in the Hangout, but I will be hosting a Hangout tomorrow, Saturday, February 8th, I think. Yep, February 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same rules as always apply. I will post the link on the Ravelry board when the link is live. I've learned a couple things about Google Hangouts, so hopefully we won't have as many lurkers as we usually do, or people we have to kick out. Although it's kind of like, I feel really powerful to be like, yeah, bye-bye. No. And so I'm babbling. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, February 8th, and all I ask is that if you join, please have a set of headphones with a microphone, because, I think any set of headphones has a microphone now. Have that because it helps cut back on the feedback so everybody can hear what everybody else is saying and there's not a whole bunch of echoes, and it just makes it easier for everybody. So I guess we will get right into the finished objects. I have a ton of them. A ton. I don't feel like I've had a lot of knitting time because I've felt so under the weather, but I still have a lot of things to show. So I do have my notes up here. The first thing I have is, I showed last week, I'm just going to check them off because I know I won't remember anything. Last week I was finishing up a test crochet for Patchwork Moose on Ravelry of a sloth. And I did finish that. His name is Artemis the Astronomer. Kristen has claimed him for herself and has named him Sid the Sloth. He is going to be in a book, and then it'll be a number of months before that single pattern will be available directly from Patchwork Moose. When I have that information, I will pass that on to you. Until then, I do have him in my project page. So I think I showed you last week, he has a telescope because he's an astronomer. And here is the sloth. He is knit out of, he's crocheted out of I Love This Yarn, except for the brown. The brown is Woolies. And his fur, I don't know if you can see it, I did brush him. I use a steel brush from the hardware store to make when I need a stuffy to be fuzzy. So I brushed him. I probably could have brushed him a little more, but I like how he came out. His vest is a little bit big, but that's being worked on before the pattern is finalized, because I know I wasn't the only one that had that issue, but he came out pretty cute. I love the eyes. I think the blue eyes were the perfect choice for him, and he lives in Kristen's home office, so it's really cute. And her patterns are amazing. Even when you're testing, they're just so meticulous, and she has a great eye for detail. The next thing, I told you, my crazy dogs. The next thing I completed was on Saturday, and I do not have that with me, and my friend, who's also my dance teacher, needed a duck for a prop for a dance for this coming weekend, Saturday or Sunday. I think it's Sunday. and she couldn't find one, and she is also a knitter, but she didn't have time to knit up a duck because she also makes every single costume for every girl in her studio. And she doesn't like making toys, and it's quite obviously I like making toys. So while I don't have that duck with me, I do have a picture, and I will insert that here. That was a pay-for pattern. I knit it out of Red Heart Super Saver in yellow and orange. I don't know what their real names are. And I wanted the duck to be a little bit bigger, so I knit it double-stranded. The only other thing that I changed was it had you stuff the wings, and I didn't like, I don't know, ducks' wings aren't squishy to me. They're kind of flat. So I stuffed the very tips of them just to give it a little poof, and she loved how it came out, and I can't wait to see it in the dance. I won't be there Sunday, but I'm sure I'll see it at some point. And as always, all the links are on my Ravelry project page. Sunday was the Super Bowl, and that was when our health started to take a turn. Excuse me. I think I was actually sick first, and then I felt a little better, and then I just totally plummeted. So Sunday evening, I decided that I was going to try and make as many hats on the Addy as I could out of as much scrap yarn as I could, which turned into a whole project in and of itself. I guess I'll put a picture of that in. I have more scraps than most people have stash. And I had a big problem that every time I pulled something out, it was a huge knot. And I'm also working on a scrap blanket, which you'll see in a little bit. And it was just a nightmare, and I couldn't find the color I was looking for, so I went up into my studio and I grabbed 6 baskets from our penny hunting, and I re-caked every single scrap ball of yarn, any partial skein. I re-caked every single one and sorted them by color because I'm a little bit OCD and anal retentive, and it took hours, but it was worth it. And I don't know how I'm going to... I really want to just use up as much of it as I can, and I already have a couple ideas for it. But if you want to see how, in case you want to see how anal retentive I really and truly am, I'm going to put a picture of the sorted scrap yarn here. So I did that after I finished these hats, but I've already found that it's extremely helpful because Kristen and I have done a couple projects since then. So, Super Bowl Sunday, I decided I was going to crank out as many hats as I could. So, I think I got 7 done. This is the first hat I made, which is just a tube hat that's rolled up. Oh, Dewey, could you stop? This was a Big Lots yarn. No real information on it, and it took 2 balls. And it's super fuzzy. It's super thick. It's going to be nice and warm for somebody. The next one was also a Big Lots yarn, and this one I held double. My machine did not. Addy did not like this yarn. And I did a crochet edge on it. There's a lot of goof ups. And I think I threw away the other one. I also made another one, and it broke a needle, and I decided it wasn't worth it. And it was a mess, and I wasn't going to do it over again, so I just, dare I say it, I threw it out. It was a tangled mess. I don't think there was any salvaging it. Let's see. The next hat I made was also a Big Lots yarn, and it was this one, and it turned out terrible. Because I wanted to do the turned up brim the way Margaret showed it, but I forgot to do the waist yarn, so I decided that I was so skilled that I could do it without the waist yarn, and let me tell you, I can't. You won't be able to, maybe you will be able to see it. Let's see. I started going out great, and then it got thicker and thinner, and the hat just looks terrible. There's also a bunch of dropped things there. So this is a fail, but I am going to rip it out and reuse the yarn. I've been getting to know my Addy a lot better, and I feel like we have a very good relationship now. The next hat I made was the Margaret Special. And I'm not really the Margaret Special. That sounds horrible, but I just love seeing her use up all her scrap yarn making hats. So I made this one with a crocheted edge to try it out. And I have discovered I don't like the crocheted edge for myself. That's my own personal preference. And I'll tell you why. I don't like it leaves a little bit of holes, and I don't like that I have all these ends I need to sew in. But alas, this is still a very worthwhile and useful hat, and it came out great, and I like the colors and how they go together, and I will weave in the ends, and somebody will love it, I'm sure. The next hat I made this was some leftover Joann's yarn. This one I did like the crocheted edge on it because the yarn was a little bit thicker. I think this was Joann's Sensations. I only had a tiny ball of it left, and well, I had 2 tiny balls, and now I have 1 tiny ball. And it made the whole hat and the pom-pom. And I like the thickness of it, and it came out pretty good. I'm not going to take my hair down because I just can't today. I won't be able to get it back up because I can't really raise my arms that high. So I do like that one. I think this is more like Red Hearts and Vanna's Choice, Bernat Super Value. So it was this is a little thinner than the Joann Sensations was. And I really like how this one came out. I would wear this one. The next hat I made, I did the turned up brim on the Addy. So Susie did a video, which I will try and remember and link below, where she showed you how you cast on with waste yarn, you knit the entire brim, the double thickness of it, and then you place the stitches up onto the Addy machine. And it did take a little bit of time, but the results were great. It came out, it looks beautiful. I can't really, you might be able to see on the wrong side because these are pearls and these are knits. And it worked out nice and smooth. And this is a Knit Picks yarn, which I don't have the tag for any longer, but that I had a couple random skeins of it, and I didn't know what to do with it. But this is an alpaca yarn. Alpaca wool blend, I think. Maybe a little bit of silk. I think it was called Andean Treasures, Andean Tweed, I believe. And I will say, we all know that the Addy does not like, well, the counter does not like acrylic yarn. I guess it gets some sort of electric shock and it makes the numbers go all wonky. My row count did not falter once on this. So it does prove the point that I think I saw in the Scassell video that natural fibers won't cause that interference with the counter. So there's that one. How many more do I have? A bunch. Then I made this scrap hat, and this is what I did was I knit the stripes and I figured out what the row count I need for myself is, and I need 48 rows on each side. This one's a little smaller, so this will be a child size, a young teen, preteen size. And then when I get to my brim color, I just continue and I do the whole inside in the brim color, so it's double thickness, and I really like how this came out. And then I decided to make one to match Kristen's jacket. This one's still a little bit too short because I was doing 45 rows per side, and now I'm doing 48. And Kristen's jacket is blue and gray, so she likes this hat, but I am going to make her one that's just a couple rows longer on each side. I apologize. I'm like all over the place. So just a whole bunch of blues and gray and a little bit of white just to balance it out. And those are the hats I made during the Super Bowl. I have a whole bunch of stuff over here. So I'll put those away. And then that was Saturday. No, that was Sunday. On Monday, we were dog sitting for a little bit. And I made 2 more Addy hats. I made this one. This is definitely a child size because I ran out of the brown. So The only difference I did on this is I made each stripe 5 rows instead of just completely random, and this is adorable. I would totally wear this hat. I would wear it every day if it were just a little bit longer for me, and I might. Then I decided to mix up the striping, and I did this, and I did 5 rows of the contrast colors with 2 rows of orange in between, and then I did blue because I thought it might be too much orange, and I like how that one came out. And Kristen voted no pom-pom on this one. So that was Monday. Tuesday, rapid decline in our health. Kristen decided she wanted to try loom knitting, and I said, well, why don't you try the Addy? So I got her set up very reluctantly. She agreed, and I said, how about we make a car hat with a road, and I have some car buttons. I'd seen Margaret make them before. And she went to town, and there was a bit of a learning curve, but Kristen has, once she figured out what I meant by tensioning the yarn going into the machine, I'm reaching over here because my Addie is right next to me. Her tension was amazing. I wish I could have tension like her. You can see here, this is where I wasn't quite explaining the tension properly, and then look at the top. It's perfect. That's amazing. So she made a little road hat. I did the finishing for her. I sewed the buttons on. I closed up the top. But she took it off the machine. She did all the cranking. She did the hardest part of the hat. And it's really cute, and I think a little boy would look cute in this. But I made this one a little too long. So I just can't win. This was going on after I had organized all that yarn. So I decided to make another car hat and make it a little bit shorter, and this is the one I made. I decided to go with a more narrow road. And I'm not sure which I prefer. I wish I had buttons that the cars went in different directions so they could actually be passing. So, I think that's all the Addy stuff. Yes. Now, as I mentioned before, I really want to knit the Owl-in-One onesie for my niece, Sadie. But I really have been having some guilt, over how many works in progress I have, or UFOs. So I decided that I was going to focus. I can knit and work on whatever I want, but I wanted to put a little bit of emphasis on finishing up some lingering projects. So the first thing I finished was the little scallops hat. It's a really easy free pattern on Ravelry. This I'm going to send to my sister. Will probably fit Sadie next fall. And I knit this out of Lion Brand Extra Fine Superwash Merino. I think that's what it is. I know it's superwash, and I know it's wool, and I know it's a DK weight or a sport weight. It's just black and pink. Initially, I was casting this on for myself, and somehow I thought that that was enough stitches for myself. It's not. But that's okay. I found another pattern similar to that I'm going to make. The other long lingering project that I finished was the last Christmas ornament that I was working on from December. It's called Hospitality Room in the Heart. It's from the 55 Christmas Balls to Knit. Is that what it's called? Yep. And there's no reason I wasn't working on it. It just was at the bottom of the basket. And here it is. I like how it came out. My color work is improving, which I'm happy about. And excuse me, I'm really sorry. I will confess to you that I haven't put away any of the ornaments that I knit. I have them all hanging next to me on the couch because I like to look at them. They're cute. That's that. So that's finished. I also, for an order, I showed you the sweater that goes with this last year. I made a little Binky Buddy. Oops. A bunny Binky Buddy. Which probably would be carried like this. And it's in gray and pink. And I just made gray the predominant color as opposed to the pink. To contrast with the sweater. And because this is the type of thing that I imagine would get dragged around and loved on, so the pale pink would probably get dirtier faster than the gray, and I think it's cute. And I have one more thing to make to go with that order, and that will be in the mail next week. I'm gonna have to wash this before I send it because I don't want to send the norovirus or whatever we have going on here to a pregnant lady. And the final thing that I completed was a pattern that was gifted to me by Snowy44, and it is called Voodoo You Love Me. It's a pay-for pattern on Ravelry, and I knit this out of some of my scraps. This is Karen 1-pounder in a variegated color. I have no idea what color it is. The red is just some red scraps, and here he is. I think he's really cute. Kristen, it's for Kristen's office. The heart, I just cheated and bought a patch at Joann's and glued that on there. And I always put, you can hear them, some pony beads in the bottom so that they sit, especially with this big heavy head, so he will sit instead of falling over. So that's all I have finished. I don't know how I got all that done because I've really just been sleeping and not doing anything. As for works in progress, I haven't touched my Addie Log cabin blanket. I will be getting back to that. I haven't touched the African flower project I was working on. I did do a little work on the socks. I wanted to have them done this week, but things happen. I'm not going to stress over a pair of socks. But I did get this much done on the second sock. I have one more stripe and then I'll be doing the heel. Nope. Yep, one more stripe and then I'll be doing the heel. Free pattern on Ravelry, and I'm using the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is a pay for a pattern on Ravelry. Oh, I mentioned before that I pulled my scrap can back out, and I'm actually almost done with it. I want to make it so when I stand up and hold my hands over my head, it goes from my hands to the ground. So I have like 10 inches left to go. But I'm not gonna, I can't really hold my hands up for that long, so I'm gonna insert a picture of where I am with that right here. I have to say I adore that blanket, and so does every being that comes in contact with it. I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm not going to get to use it very much. But that's okay. The last work in progress I have has to go with a little bit of stash enhancement. Not yarn, stash enhancement. Oh, I also knit a Bernice Mountain Dog hat, but that's already in the mail. I've been watching Pam Loomer's videos and listening to her talk about loom knitting, and I've always enjoyed loom knitting with the Nifty Knitters, but I actually didn't. She kept talking about how, oh, what did she call it? What did she call it? An E-cast on? E-stitch? E-wrap. How people think loom knitting isn't knitting, but that they've probably only seen the E-wrap, which that's all I had seen. So I did some research and I found out that there's all these different things you can do on a loom, which I guess I kind of knew in the back of my head. There must be more. And I was intrigued, and I do find loom knitting relaxing, and I don't find it any faster than knitting with needles or any less what's the word? I can't even think. Labor intensive. than knitting with needles, but it's something different, and I love to do different things. So when I was out grocery shopping this morning, because we were out of things that we just couldn't live without, in Walmart, I found this, and I had to purchase it because it was a really good price where I found it. And that is the Martha Stewart Crafts Knit and Weave Loom Kit, which has been out for a couple years, and I know it's gotten mixed reviews, but for everything you're getting with it, I think it was worth it. I do have the round nifty knitters, but I wanted a tighter fabric, a tighter weave fabric, and after looking into things, I liked that the Martha Stewart loom had the options of different weights of yarn, different gauges. If you've made it this far in this video, congratulations, because I don't know how you have, because I'm kind of spacey today. Anyway, I bought that, and I came home this morning, and I cast on actually a pair of fingerless mittens that I found a video tutorial on YouTube, which, let me write that down, YouTube tutorial, so I can link it for you, for some fingerless mittens. And I saw them, and I couldn't believe they were loom knit. They're just so beautiful, and I was naive. I didn't know you could do something so beautiful on it. And I don't have much to show here. But my gauge is much smaller on the Martha Stewart loom than was in the video, so it's teeny tiny, teeny tiny. So I cast on, and I didn't do an E-wrap cast on. I did, I don't know, a double E-wrap cast on and then yarned over. I don't know. And I've been doing some stripes, and I made a cuff, and pretty pleased with myself. There's the cuff. Let me see if I can show it. I think I'm going to actually, I am, so let me just, I'm going to pull this off now that I've showed you I should have done this before. Because it's too small. I want to do it with more stitches because I really liked the pattern. And it's easy. I'm very slow at it, which is okay. Not everything is a race, especially not for me. Might seem like it is, but it's really not. So here's what I did so far. Oh yeah, it's a good thing I pulled this out. It's teeny tiny. So let's see. Let's show this side's better. It's really neat, and I'm pretty impressed with myself. But I'm gonna rip this out, and I am going to cast on again with either bigger pegs, more pegs, or both. Who knows? I'm trying to think. So what's up next? The Owl-in-One onesie, a baby sweater that I have to make for a friend, and finishing up some more whips, my socks, stuff like that. So that's all I have for today. Oh, please keep in mind that the shawl knit and crochet along, or loom along, you can loom a shawl, I've found out, which I didn't know, is ending on Valentine's Day. So if you're interested in that, go over to the Ravelry group, and Dewey is pestering me, and check it out. I mean, there's still plenty of time to get one done if you wanted to participate. So that's all I have for today. Google Hangout tomorrow at 1 Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.